Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening/watching this. My name is Tia, and this is another awesome episode of Geek Vibes Live interview. I have with me two amazing ladies. They were having a lot of fun before we hit record here, but it is the director, Tara Johnson-Medinger, and Natalie Shershow for the new upcoming indie film, My Summer as a Goth. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Yeah, and my name is actually pronounced Tara.
I'm so sorry about that. Oh gosh. Tara, I should have asked beforehand. That was my slip up.
No worries.
But I appreciate both of you being here today. As soon as we were given the email and the information for My Summer as a Goth, I kind of felt like a connection with it because not only was I a goth in high school, but I'm still 12 years later with the little goth boy from next door. So I certainly felt a lot of connection here. But Tara, let me just start with you. What was your inspiration behind My Summer as a Goth?
Sure. So I received the first version of the script in 2009 from my best friend from high school, Brandon Lee Roberts. And it was inspired by our time growing up in Salem, Oregon, and sort of the alternative scene there and hanging out with all the goth kids and the punk kids and the kind of whatever kids that hung out downtown. And we co-developed the script over the years and finally got it into production. So a lot of it is inspired from our own experience and our life. We really wanted to make a film that honored those like coming of age films that were near and dear to our heart from the late 80s, and but really like take it and freshen it up for today's youth. So it is set present day. A lot of people had asked me kind of in the beginning stages if it was like set in the 80s, but it is set at this time. So
It's nice to see the goth scene alive and thriving. And as soon as I know I mentioned your pictures before, but as soon as I saw your background, I was like, all right, she's one of us. But I love it.
thank you. Yeah.
Natalie, can you tell us your experience playing this character and why maybe she may have been inspired to kind of go down this route due to something that had happened to her in the movie?
Yeah, definitely. I loved playing Joey. Just overall, like from the second I read the first line of dialogue in the script, this was like I want to say 5 years ago. I was like, okay, that's something I can do for sure. She's a very relatable character for all kinds of different young women, and when you're at such a tender age, she's 16 in the film. You're really like exploring all these different options that like you could sort of try on as a personality or just as like a lifestyle. And she's definitely like right in the middle of figuring out who she is. And she finds Victor, this boy who inspires her so much to just sort of try a different way of living and explore the beauty and the darker things in life, which I think all of us can kind of connect to, really wanting to find yourself and trying on different hats to see which one fits.
And so you said 5 years ago, so this was recorded quite a bit ago, which is thankfully now it's coming to on demand and can actually be accessible to audiences.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been such a labor of love, as Tara can absolutely attest. It's been an amazing journey.
That's awesome.
We met Natalie, and when Brandon and I were feeling ready with the script, one of my friends runs an acting studio for teens here in town in Portland, and I asked her if we could bring the script in and have her teens read it, and in turn we would do a audition with them. Mm-hmm. And we brought it in and we did a cold read with all of the teens, and Natalie was in that class, and actually several of our cast members were there as well. And we had no idea that we would find our Joey through that process. But the next week we came back and did what we thought was like a mock audition. And Natalie came in and auditioned for the role of Joey. And Brandon and I were just like completely stunned because Joey like entered the room with us. Like it was that experience of like seeing your like character come alive and just jump off the page. And it was, I mean, Natalie's heard me tell this story a million times, but it was such like an incredible experience to like witness that and to feel like, oh my gosh, we're starting to move forward in this really unique way. And then we started casting other characters maybe like 6 months later and shot that over the summer. So we started working with Natalie probably 9 months prior to actually shooting. So so that was really great too, to get to know her as a person and then develop the character of Joey with her.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, honestly. And so then we have Jack Levis. I hope I'm saying that last name right. Natalie, how was it for you and Jack to craft these characters together on screen and really create something that's tangible for the audiences?
I mean, it was so wonderful working with Jack. He's an amazing actor, an amazing scene partner. And for both of us, you know, we don't and didn't really identify as a goth in real life. And it was really like humbling to just be able to like enter this wonderful community that we were so excited to explore. And we definitely like our characters are very different for sure. And so developing like that relationship and, you know, for me, from my character, Joey is new to this whole world, and Victor has been living in this world for many years now. And so finding that sort of balance between, especially for me, it was very important to like honor the community and make sure that we're doing them justice and portraying their stories. So that was really, really cool.
I was gonna ask if you had ever say like dabbled in the goth scene beforehand. So was there say a lot of listening to, you know, goth music to get into the mood? Like how did you do that?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely wouldn't have like qualified as an actual technical goth, but I do remember in like first grade, my style, I guess, involved a lot of black. And at one point, this girl like was kind of trying to bully me, and she was like, wow, you're so goth, like you're so like dark. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm just wearing black. But that was my first experience, I guess, with being identified as a goth, if you can call it that. But we had a very curated goth playlist that we would, I think it was Brandon, or maybe you guys worked on it together, but we would always have that like playing in the background when we did work. It was, yeah.
That's awesome. Tara, did you curate that that playlist?
Yeah, Brandon put it together. He's a huge music enthusiast, and it incorporated a lot of songs from, you know, back in the day, and then we put a lot of modern songs on there, and it was exciting to utilize that during filming. So, you know, Natalie and I would talk, and you know, I'd say like, listen to this music. This is where Joey's at, and we can talk through some certain scenes as far as where emotionally Joey was in that moment. And same with Jack and some of the other characters. I provided them with like very specific songs for specific moments in the film. And I think that helped a lot. We also, during rehearsals, we have our go-to goth consultant, Jillian Venters, who's the writer of Gothic Charm School, which is a blog, and there's also a book. And everything you want to know about the goth community is in this book, and she's very visible online. And I call her like the Dear Abby to the goths. She's really wonderful. She's located in Seattle. She's been involved in our project pretty much since the very beginning, and she spent time with the cast and during a rehearsal and talk through like different Gothic lifestyles and in terms of dress and music. And it was so wonderful to have her there to answer questions. Because I would say the majority of the cast they didn't identify as goth, but also maybe not even like alternative. And so it was a very new experience for a lot of them. And having Jillian's experience and knowledge was really helpful. And then she also came down on one of our filming days and had a cameo in the film.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it was interesting what Natalie was just saying about her having worn a lot of black and someone asking her, oh, what are you goth now? Because it's something that I've thought about recently. A lot of makeup brands are coming out with, say, like black lipstick and everything. And I apologize for all the sirens in the background. If you guys can hear that, I apologize. But when I was in high school in a goth, the only black lipstick was like drugstore black lipstick. It was really cheap, and you'd wear it and someone would say, oh, what are you, a goth? So it's just funny how things have kind of like transformed now. Have you seen that, Tara, with, you said a lot of people asked you, is this set in the 80s? But realistically, it's very plausible for today, because I think now goth is kind of influenced like mainstream beauty influencers and such.
Oh, I think so for sure. If you're hashtag goth on Instagram, it will open a whole world to you of the goth community and young people today, identifying as goth and sharing really current music and dress and taking their spin on what it is, taking from that time in the 80s that it was very vibrant and putting it into their like look today. And so there's a lot of YouTubers that appear in our film as well that live all over the world that take place in a portion of the film where Joey's doing a makeover, and she's a friend of hers is like sending all of these like makeover videos from YouTube. And so we have all these YouTube influencers that take part in that section. And it was really cool to like really explore the modern goth scene, because being an independent film, some of the challenges that we faced were in soundtrack and clearing some of the songs from the 80s would be really like financially challenging to do. So kind of going in the theme of like freshening it up for today, we wanted to work with modern goth bands. And so we were able to work with a goth band here locally in Portland. And then the front woman, Jana Cushman, eventually became our composer and our music supervisor, connecting us to a whole like level of goth music within the modern community that like was very exciting to put into the film.
That's awesome. And this question is kind of for both of you. Besides, it's, my summer as a goth, but besides, say, the goth attire and music and makeup, what really sets this movie apart from other coming of age stories? I don't know if Tara, if you want to go first.
Sure. Well, I think that for us, it was very important to work with real teens. I think you see a lot of coming of age films nowadays and TV shows that cast older people, like, people that are in their 20s and kind of maybe far from that time in their life that they were going through these metamorphoses as teenagers. And so Brandon and I really wanted to make sure that we were working with teens that were going through similar experiences in their own lives, because it brought a authenticity to it that I feel like I haven't seen as much in sort of modern coming of age. You look back to like John Hughes, 16 Candles, things like that. Like they cast a lot of younger people in those roles. It was also important for us to have a diverse cast, in terms of age and race and gender identity. Like these were things that were super important for us to put into this film, not only on screen, but also in our cast, in our crew. And so those were things that were, because we were independent, we were able to have that opportunity to really slow down and focus on that in terms of our casting and who we brought in as our crew. I'm interested to hear what Natalie has to say too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say yes, Natalie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, to echo a little bit of what Tara said, and to add on, I really, really, really love and appreciate our casting crew so much because there's so much diversity. I believe correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, but our camera crew was 100% female, I believe, like maybe 90.
Non-binary, yeah.
Non-binary, yeah, and we not only had such a diverse and supportive, loving, amazing crew, but on screen and in the story, we explored a lot of very diverse themes. Like, we have a lot of stories going on that are very subtly about questioning your sexuality, as well as living a different, a non-heterosexual life. But it's done in a very nuanced way. It's not like just like a forefront sort of cliche story. It's very like delicately done, which I loved. And we also explore a lot about grief and grieving as a young woman who's also trying to find themselves, trying to connect with someone who you've lost. And I think a lot of those reasons sort of set us apart from the classic coming of age story, which it definitely still is, but with a lot of very diverse stories and people.
I would also say the end is unique and in that, but I don't want to give it away. So you'll have to watch the film to find out.
I don't want to be spoiled. Natalie, your character, is dealing with a lot of, grief because of, as it says, the sudden death of her father. How did you get into sort of the mindset of bringing that grief to life and also making it realistic?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger challenges I faced taking on the role of Joey, because as Natalie, I have never experienced losing someone very close to me. More recently I have, but when I was playing Joey, I had virtually no experience in that area. And so when you get put in that situation as an actor where you don't know really how to portray something accurately and truthfully, it's very important to do research. It's very important to find stories that don't reflect your experience, but that you can really like put yourself into and try to pay tribute to. It was important to me to build the character of my father, Ethan, in my own mind and in my own life, so that I could then make the shift that he's not in my life anymore. Just having the experience as, living in the imaginary circumstance of him being alive, taking that away. It was really heartbreaking. I mean, actors go through so much emotionally that even though it's not real life, it's not real reality, it's really real to like the central nervous system. You really do go through it.
And you are, even though maybe it's not real for you, this is a situation that others have been in, so it was real for them as well. And you would hope maybe that they would kind of feel that through your acting.
Yeah, definitely. And again, yeah, anytime an actor takes on something they haven't experienced, it's, at least for me, it's so important to do that justice. And yeah.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. It's coming to, I believe, DirecTV and then other platforms on demand on November 11th. But Tara, I think the real important question here is there any plans on maybe a sequel, getting the band back together? Have you thought about that at all?
I think about it a lot. I mean, Natalie and I've talked over the last several years of really wanting to work together again, and whether it's something related to Joey and, sort of the next steps of whatever My Summer as a Goth takes. We've kind of tossed around some ideas. There's some possibilities. We'll see what happens. I think some of it's related to the response of, when the film comes out and audience wanting more. I know I call them my goth kids that they would jump at the opportunity to come back in and play those characters. I would certainly love to revisit that world. It was such a joy to live in that world and to work with these actors. And I keep up with them all very frequently, even though that they have moved on to, various things in their lives, other projects. Like, I have been working on this film since we ended production pretty consistently until now. And so I'm excited to have them kind of re-enter the world now, even though they have some distance a little bit with being involved in like the production aspect. So.
And Natalie, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but where would you see, and I guess this may have spoilers to the movie, but where would you see Joey or like to see Joey in a sequel?
Well, what I love about Joey is that she is constantly trying to evolve. She's constantly trying to be a better person. She's constantly trying to figure out what really makes her happy, the things that she really loves, and trying to surround herself with more of that. So I think that there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of pathways she could explore. What I love about her also is that she's flawed. I mean, she's trying to do her best, but she's not perfect. And so she experiences a very real human experience of making mistakes. So I think there's a lot of different possibilities.
Amazing. Before I let you two wonderful ladies go, I know things are crazy with the pandemic right now, but Natalie, I'll start with you. Do you have any other projects that maybe you're working on or are upcoming and that we should keep our eyes out for?
Yeah, I'm working on a web series right now that is an LGBT story that I'm really, really proud of. It's called Never Have I Ever. It's on YouTube. We've done one film and sort of a half sequel, like a coronavirus sequel, but we're hoping to get back into production soon. And other than that, I've been writing a lot during quarantine, so hoping to get some of my own work out into the world.
Awesome. I certainly hope with everything can kind of go back to normal soon. What they say the new normal, but hopefully, wear your masks, I guess. But Tara, how about you? What else should we be looking out for?
Sure. I have a couple of projects that I'm currently working on as a director. I have a documentary that I'm prepping, and we hope to get that into production by the end of this year. We'll see how things go, and we'll be announcing that soon. I've been working on another coming of age story that I'm writing. So it's currently in the script phase, and I've shared the story with Natalie and gotten some of her feedback on it. So there are pages now, Natalie, so I can share those with you. But that's been really exciting to think about that project. It's more of that coming of age in the mid-20s time of one's life. And I'm excited about how it's coming along. It's slower than expected, but I think that's all just like the world and what we're living through right now. I also work as a producer, and I'm producing on a feature film that's going to be shot here in Portland next summer. So we've done a proof of concept for that. And, so I definitely keep myself busy in terms of creative projects. And I also have 2 teens. So I'm a mom as well that's very busy, and now launching this film is taking a lot of my time currently, which I love all of it. I love everything that I do, and but I would love to get back into production on something. I think a lot of us who work in this industry would. It's a really fun part of the creation of a project. So I look forward to that day when it's more possible.
Yeah, I hear that when I speak with a lot of talent and they say we're all just kind of waiting. So I certainly hope that you can get into production soon. And I love the concept of coming of age in your 20s because I'm 30 and I still don't feel like a full grown adult. So that would be really wonderful. But Tara, Natalie, thank you so much for sitting down and speaking with me. Everyone, again, my Summer as a Goth, November 11th. Make sure that you keep an eye out for it. And thank you again, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.